All right, welcome to Senior Home Business Family. How you guys doing today? We got Brittany in the house. Matt's here. We're talking about senior placement business as always. We are so glad you're joining us. And if you're watching the recorded version, drop down a comment where you're from and maybe a question we can respond to you. I'll try my best to respond, Brittany, but I'm just not real good, especially with emails and responses down below. And, I guess I am a little bit quick on the draw when somebody's negative. So I had somebody the other day. They put a comment about one of my short videos, and they said, "Man, this guy's all talk, but he doesn't say anything." And I was like, so I put, "Man, I get it. I totally get it. But, you already go watch the other 800 videos on the channel and you might learn something." So we are giving you free content here, you guys. We're not giving you the paid content. If you want to know more about what we do and all that good stuff, you can drop down, click a link, and schedule a consultation call with myself and learn about the senior placements too, TSL. There is something I'm doing, Brittany, that I'm super excited about. It's the Senior Placement Challenge coming up September 18th through the 23rd. I will be 2,500 miles away from my hometown. Actually, I'm going to my hometown, but from where I live. But I know nobody in senior living there. I know no one like executive directors, marketing directors. I know no social workers. I got no business contacts whatsoever. A lot of people I went to school with actually have dispersed and gone to different states. I've lived in California for 24 years. So it's a brand new territory, but I'm going to go there and get a paying client in 12 hours because I love this business. And I love the fact that it's challenging like anything that you want to be successful in life should be challenging to you. It should be something that doesn't come easy. And this may not come that easy to some, but to Brittany, to you have a strong work ethic, but you're super successful in what you do. I love what I do and get a lot of move-ins. And now I'm getting ready to demonstrate that you can go to an area and you can actually do this business without knowing anybody. And I'll get a paying client in 12 hours. You can drop down, click the link, and I'm doing a general admission. I'm doing a VIP. We're actually going to have you watch what I do. If you're in general admission, you'll get a video of what I did that day and all these different things. You'll get a blueprint, questions I asked, where I went, all that stuff. But then if you're in the VIP, you'll be able to watch me to a certain extent. I cannot do video within hospitals and skilled nursing, stuff like that. But they'll be able to watch me a little bit, and they'll also be able to text me. We're going to be on this app, and they're going to be able to text me back and forth. And so I'll be able to give them video responses or voice responses, things like that. So I'm super excited about that. But that's what we're doing. We're talking about the business today. But even getting leads, which that is kind of the biggest thing we talk about, is getting leads, because if you have no leads, you have no move-ins, you have no money, you have no business, you have no cash flow, right? So, but there are 5 keys to building a real business, Brittany, because it is more than just getting leads. Because this business used to be a name drop business, right? It used to be go out and get a name and number, drop it off a community, get a little finder's fee. Now it's way different. You're establishing a business like your business in Texas and Missouri. It's a legitimate business, right?
Yeah, it's a legitimate business. It's not something that we're just doing a hobby and just getting some names out of anywhere. And we're protected with insurance. We know the industry. So I know this industry got a little bit of a backlash, probably when the name drop thing was really heavy, that just anybody could do this. Real estate agents were doing it, not really as a legitimate business, or you would have like serial networkers is what we call them. Apparently, yeah. Those individuals were just getting names and phone numbers and send it to assisted livings and then trying to invoice them. So no, this is a legit business with regulations, with ways to do it the right way. And of course, you're managing people's lives.
Absolutely. And we just got a comment here. Wade Evans, I need to schedule a call about the TSL program. Well, brother, get on the call. The link's down below. You can schedule that. So that is our proprietary software that we utilize and been using since February of this year, which if you're watching this video a little bit later is 2025. TSL has been around for like 6 months, something like that. And we're around 25, 28 territories, something like that. But anyway, yeah, Wade, we'd love to hear from you. So let's get into it, Brittany. Number 1, the entrepreneur mindset in senior placement. I really believe if you're going to be successful in this business, probably any business, but I don't know every business obviously that's out there, but in this business, I think you and I can speak intelligently enough to know to people that, hey, you've got to have an entrepreneur mindset. You've got to be able to, and the first one I got up here is adaptability. You got to stay flexible as families' needs and market conditions shift, right? To do this business today, for instance, 2025 is really different in some ways than it was when I first got started. When I first got started in 2018, it was before COVID. Those before a lot of different things. Assisted living's gone up tremendously, 15, 20% over the last 3 or 4 years. And then now post-COVID kind of things and different connections, different ways of doing the business. But Brittany, how important is it for somebody to be in this business? If they're going to be successful, they have to be willing to adapt and adopt.
Yeah, this isn't like a situation where it's always cut and dry. And that's where the entrepreneurial mindset comes into play. Things change, like definitely market conditions on occupancy rates in your area, whether some communities are working with local referral agents, who is and who isn't. I think that has changed significantly in the last 3 or 4 years. Communities have been more particular on who they're going to work with and what type of service they expect. Also, family needs change, sometimes hourly. So being able to think on your feet, not have the mindset of, okay, this is a point A to point C process with nothing in between. You really have to be able to think on your toes. And that's in any business. But I think really, I would say every day, every hour, things change.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to be on that ride with families and communities and not be frustrated at that.
I agree. And problem solving as approach challenges, as opportunities to add value. You need to be able to be a problem solver. And this is probably outside of being empathetic and hearing a resident's story or their family story about their loved one, is you have the ability to problem solve. If you don't problem solve that well, you might be a little challenged in this business. It might be a little frustrating for you because it's not a cookie cutter type business. It's not, okay, I've got these communities out there and now I got a resident. Let me just go get them to this community or that community, start pointing in the direction. That's kind of an amateur way of doing the business, is they're just pointing in the direction of, where they may go, where they possibly would benefit. They can get that off Google. They can get that honestly off a place for mom. You can get that from anywhere. Just knowing where these communities are at is not the name of the game. Now, you obviously need to know where they are. You obviously need to have a relationship with them, have referral agreements in place, things like that. But you're going to have some strategy, some thought process in place where you're actually a problem solver, because there's many different things, right? Brittany, if you get a resident with a catheter, or if you get a resident that needs a Hoyer lift, or they're diabetic and they need a needle injection, you need transportation back and forth from the doctor's office. As small, minute that may seem, not all communities do that. And so you're going to have to problem solve. You're going to have to get all this information about the resident, and then understand that wherever you are encouraging the families to look at, not direct, but look at this community, that one particular community fits the bill and the needs of this resident. It's beyond question. You cannot go, okay, this resident has 5 ADLs, but I'm going to identify this one community because I got a referral agreement, because I get paid more over here, but they only take care of 2 of those. And then mom goes, lives a life of lack because she's not getting taken care of in the other 3 areas. So, go into this one here, Brittany, resilience, handle rejection, slow months. We all have that at times in business. Business has its ebbs and flows, but speak on that a little bit.
You have to make sure you don't get yourself down and get frustrated to where your motivation lacks. We all have it in the senior living industry. I would say in placement, we're lucky that we really don't have seasons where it gets slower than others. I know Matt would say January is the slowest for him.
January kills me.
Overall, it's a need, not a want in this industry for the most part. So the need does not go away, whether it's winter months, summer months, that type of thing. Might see some fluctuation, like going back to school times. I see a little bit of lag there. Families are busy. Winter in the Midwest, not everybody really wants to move, but then you have things like the flu season. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. But it's just keeping your mindset positive, because the second that you get yourself down, you'll stay there instead of, coming back up. And, we always say, use those slow moments to brainstorm, to be able to kind of appreciate those slow moments as an entrepreneur, and make sure that you're brainstorming for the next big wave, that you're prepared for the next big wave, or just to be able to grow your business. But if you let yourself get down, you'll stay there.
Absolutely. And number 2, systems over hustle. This is going to take a lot of hustle, a lot of grind at the beginning. I totally get it. It's exactly what I did. If I say anything other than that, I'd be lying. Things kind of come easier to me, not easy, correct myself, but easier to me, because I've been in the business for some time now. I've got a brand, I've got connections. I mean, my wife's going through all kinds of medical situations and issues right now. And we just had one of our care home owners send her flowers and chocolate yesterday. So we've got relationships in our area because of all this stuff. But systems over hustle is there's processes and workflows, right, Brittany? And you need to create repeatable steps for intake, tours, follow-up. What exactly are you going to do? In any business, you need to understand the process. And that's what we teach in senior placements too, right, Brittany? The full process, A to Z. It's 42 modules. It's the most comprehensive senior placement course in the country. You can look into that, schedule a consultation call with me, but you got to fully understand the process. But not only understand the process, you got to have a system in place. And we were talking off air a little bit, Brittany, before we got on. And, we were talking about some people we know. And some people we know understand the process fully. The systems, I'm thinking of a couple people, Brittany, not everyone we talked about, but a couple of them don't really have systems in place. But what they're doing is they're trying to get designations behind their name. I want to be a member of this group. I want to be a member of that group. And I want to have this designation and this designation all behind my name. I'm not against designations. I'm not against additional training. I'm not against additional groups, all that. But if you don't have systems in place, I don't care how many letters you put behind your name, you're not going to have anything done, right? You could be probably one of the best doctors in the world, but if no one knows about you, you're not going to have any patients, right? Now, if people start to know about you, obviously, then they go to you, right? My wife has had 10 cardiac surgery, not cardiac. It's gosh, what is it? I slipped my mind now.
Cataract.
No, it's oh gosh, she would kill me. She's out right up there. So I forgot exactly what the surgery was. She's had 10 cornea transplants. That's what they are. God, her mom just had a cataract surgery the other day. So I think I would take it. But cornea transplants, she's had 10 of them, and she's seen one of the best doctors in that field over time. And so, but I'm sure he didn't get there overnight, but you got to have process workflows in place, and you got to visualize this too and write it down and begin to understand how would you fully take an intake when you get a phone call from a resident or you get a phone call from a social worker or another lead source. What do you do in that moment? Think through clearly, have actionable steps, right? What you do when you're on the tour. If you go on the physical tours, which I encourage you to do, especially at the beginning, I do a lot of my things online and virtual tours and things like that now to not only expedite the situation with me and make things smoother, but it actually helps the families out. But you got to understand how you do that. And then follow up. When do you follow up with social workers? When do you follow up with the residents and their families and things? And you really got a system in place, but you got to go through all that. Brittany, speak about time management, because when we talk about systems, this is really a big too, right? I mean, you're getting your balance on outreach and tours and things, your personal life. I mean, how do you balance all this stuff?
Yeah, this is really important to not get burnt out, or to make sure that you're putting the right efforts in the right places. So you're not doing too much of one or the other. So you're not doing too many tours without any outreach. So you're making sure that you're getting leads, able to help families, and also completely not burn yourself out to where the phone rings and you're like, man, here we go again. You don't want to get to that point. But I think the main thing is, you're identifying the clients that you're the goal to have, private pay, whatever that looks like. And just the families that you really want to help. You want to help everyone, but you want to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. Like, you're not running with your head cut off all around town for 5 families that, aren't ready to make a decision right away, things like that. So you have to kind of balance on how you're helping people, where you're meeting them, and then also how much you're getting out there to get more leads. We have seen countless people in this industry get a couple leads, get a couple move-ins, take vacation, sit back and relax because they feel secure. And that's totally fine. But you just have to figure out what that looks like for you and your business and your goals, on how much outreach you're going to do, how many tours you're going to do, and how much personal life you're going to take. I would say, from my experience, if you really want to get your business off the ground, the personal life comes on the back burner for the first few years, probably in any business. So eventually one day you can probably get there to get that personal life balance back. But it's a grind in the beginning, but that's with any business.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be times you can put 12, 15 hours in a day, and there's going to be times you'll get phone calls, you date with your spouse, or, you want to sit down and watch your favorite TV show. And that's the very time you get a call from someone that, is in need of assisted living, whatever it may be. There's always these inconvenient calls, but I don't look at them as inconvenient calls. I look at them as the right time, the right moment. And it just puts my personal things off to the side. There's plenty of times and opportunity during the day that you're going to have some free time to do certain things that you like. I just, and like Brittany does too, we're more advocates for seniors than anything else. So we just put the needs of the senior first. So it's not that we sacrifice family and don't ever spend time with family, don't ever do anything we want to do in life, but it's just when that comes, that's what we do. And so it really comes down to like, if that's your purpose and that's your calling, however you want to phrase it, then you're willing to be available, and talk to people and go through it. But in order to be successful in this too, as far as systems over hustle, is got to have some automation and tools, right? You might want to use a CRM. I don't. I think Brittany, you do as well now, but it's CRMs. I still kind of the old school thing, Excel spreadsheets and files, but it doesn't really matter. However you want to do it is fine, long as you've got a system in place that you know how to operate it. My system might look like a total mess to somebody else that's using a CRM, and I've used multiple CRMs. I'm just not real comfortable with the input sometimes. I think the input is, well, it's always, the output's only gonna be as good as the input, right? And so I don't want to sit around and do all that kind of stuff. So I do it a different way, but you're going to do that. So let's go to number 3, financial foundations, right? Revenue streams, placement fees, consulting, workshops, partnerships. But, these are just kind of revenue streams that you have. Obviously, you got your placement fees, you're placing seniors, but, doing workshops, I don't really look at that as like you're getting paid, but you might want to go do a workshop and it brings exposure to your business and gives you more placements. You might want to consult. I mean, there's plenty of people that are consulting. We consult in terms of this business here. You become known in your area. I think there's a lot of it because it gets down to some branding issues. But budgeting and cash flow, Brittany, you want to speak to this a little bit, because sometimes people get in this business and they really don't know how to budget. They don't really know how to manage their cash flow. I can give you a really quick thing that really helped me. I could not do this at the beginning. I promise you, I could not do it probably for the better part of the first year, probably maybe a little longer. But now, as I get a placement fee and the fee comes in, let's say it's $5,000, half of that goes to taxes, which I know it's not 50%, but I do live in California, so 38% tax bracket is close to 50%. So push that all over there. So now I'm down to 2,500. You get 2,500. You cut that in half again. 1,250 goes to personal training or into my business or some more investment, and then I live on the 1,250. Now, you can't live on 1,250, I don't think, in today's society. But when you have multiple move-ins, you can live off that, because now you're going 1,250 times 5, 1,250 times 10, 1,250 times 12, and you can live off that, and you're actually still producing for your company, right? Now, I've got employees, Brittany's got employees, so some of that goes there as well, and so we allocate some things that way. But that, to me, that has kind of been the simplest form of way of doing this. Was not my original thought. I believe I got it from Grant Cardone. I believe Kevin Hart has said it. There's multiple people out there that's probably said that. It's not an original thought with me, but it's something I heard years ago that I really adapted into my own business when I was able to. Again, early on, it's very hard to do, and you might not be able to do the 50-50 kind of thing. You might just want to do whatever the taxes is at 38% if you are there, if you're 20, wherever you are, and push that to the side. Now, let's say you're at 20%. Now you got 80% left over. You might have to spend 70% of that on your personal, paying your rent, your car, whatever you're doing, and then 10% back into your business at least, and then at least have some investment into your personal development as well. So, Brittany, what's your thoughts on that? That's kind of the way I do it, and it seems to work.
Yeah, very similar. A little bit different now, like you said, because we have employees, so different things to allocate it. But I wanted to point out one thing that I actually saw in my QuickBooks yesterday. It said 67% of my invoices in the last 12 months have been paid late or not at all. So I just wanted to bring that up with this industry. Now, most of mine have been paid.
Come on, communities, pay on time.
I haven't been sticked, but I wanted to, one thing I think that people think about getting this industry, you send an invoice, you get the check cut. I know this is different in every market. Yeah. My communities do not pay on time. Most of them don't, whether they're small or large. So, it is kind of a debt collector type of situation. We eventually get paid, but it could be months late. So something good to know about owning this business and being an entrepreneur is kind of preparing for those times where there's a lag in payment. We are commissioned, and we start from the beginning. You get a senior, you place the senior, you invoice, now you're from square one. There's no residual. So we are constantly starting from square one to get paid. So just something to point out, that when you get in this industry, not that it's a negative thing, it's just something that you have to be prepared for. The positive, if you look at it this way, we don't have the overhead that other companies have. So we might get paid later. We might have to start from scratch every single time, but we don't have the overhead if you do it the right way and the most efficient way in this business.
Yeah. What ways, and I got a couple ways I could tell you, but what way would you say that you could expedite getting paid sooner than later? Because I totally get why communities do it, you guys. If you don't know this, I know Brittany does, but if the audience doesn't know that when they give out a referral fee, especially if it's at 100%, they don't make any profit until usually 3.5 months into that deal. So by them delaying it, they're trying to offset a little bit of that, right? They're trying to carve back some of that initial pain. But here's one way that I do it, Brittany. It doesn't always work, I mean, I don't like that piece. I don't like the debt collector kind of thing, but that is a good point, good analogy, because that's really what it is. You're following up, guys. You got to follow up and get your invoices paid, right? If you don't, obviously you're not gonna make any money. So what I do is I go get another lead, and if that other lead is going into that community, I let them know. I reach out to my contact, could be the marketing director, and let's say the person's name is Bill. I'll make that person's name up. Bill, hey, I got a lead for you. This person, I go through the whole process with Bill, and Bill's like, all right, man, send it over. Hey, I was checking something, Bill. Hey, could you do me a favor? I do have an outstanding invoice. It's been out for a couple of weeks. Is there any way we can get that paid? And it's almost a really cool thing to do, because now you give them another lead. Now Bill's going to be applying pressure in a good way internally within the community to get you paid because you've got another lead. Now, if obviously the obvious point is if you don't have another lead, then what do you do? And there's a couple of things we do and we teach you. But to Brittany's point, there are times you can't force them to pay you. It's not like you can twist their arm. You can stop giving them leads if you want or whatever, but you don't want to, ruin their business relationship. So it's a delicate issue, right? It's not a hard line like, okay, well, since you haven't paid me yet, I'm going to give you more leads. Now, I have actually done that with one community because the community this is really atypical, at least for me. I've only had this happen one time. The community had 2 leads, 2 move-ins. One was like 6 weeks after the other one. And for both of those times of getting paid, the community took 6.5 months for one and going almost to 8 months on the other. That was terrible. That really sends a clear signal to me that they are robbing Peter to pay Paul. If they're waiting that long to pay me, they've gone beyond the 3.5 months, right? We said earlier that it usually takes for them to be profitable. And now they're either just out of sight, out of mind. Hopefully this guy goes away. Hopefully he forgets about it. But when you got a legitimate business and you got systems in place, it's not out of sight, out of mind. Now, if I was writing stuff on a piece of paper and trying to remember everything, that'd be a different story. But these things in QuickBooks or whatever just keeps popping up. And then there's a way to do it. But yeah, to Brittany's point, sometimes you do have a lengthy time of getting paid, and you're going to, that's why, to your point earlier about the vacations and stuff, go on vacation, whatever, but continue to do the work. You got to continue to build your pipeline, because if you don't, and let's say you go, all right, I got 5 move-ins this month, but let's say 2 of them, like in my case, takes 6 to 8 months getting paid. Well, if that happens, then you're not making as much money that particular month as you thought you're going to make. So yeah, let's get into marketing. Like an entrepreneur, Brittany, I'm real big into personal branding, and I just think that's really big. How important you think is personal brand? And there's many different ways to do it, and not to get into all the different ways of doing it, but just how important is it for people to know about you and what you stand for?
Super important. I think with this industry is a little bit different than others, where I don't believe your name matters as much as most other companies. Whether it's, I kind of relate it to like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, or like those big brands that we know. Those are all great, but in this industry, it doesn't really matter if you're a lending hand, senior home business, all of your franchises. I think a lot of it comes down to you as a person and making sure that you are upholding the image that you want to be seen, and that you are being ethically seen as like the expert in your area, like this says, that you know what you're talking about, that you have the education. I think that goes a lot further than a website, than a franchise name. Then you could be called seniors helping, whatever you come up with. And I don't think it matters. Like, you really are the face of your name. in your business. Many times we're solopreneurs, so you are who you are, and that's how people know you and how you get referrals and how you grow your business. So I think it's really important. I think it's important in the beginning to identify what you want your personal brand to be and how you're going to be different.
Yeah, and I'd love to be in different piece. Like that's kind of thing that I've always done, even at the beginning, try to figure out ways that would make me different than the competition, other people doing this business. Even down to my website is very different, right? This is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I know it might not be as big a deal as I make it out to be, but it looks like every senior placement agent's website looks the same. All the communities' websites look the same except for colors, their name, the contact information, but the structure and all that. It's like, I don't know if people just kind of go to a certain site and they go, okay, this is what it looks like. So this is why I'm going to develop my page. Be a little different. Be you. And that is your personal brand. That is your personal power, is you. No one can be like you, right? So if you're trying to be like someone else or mimicking someone else or mirroring what their website looks like, you're just sucking the very power out of you. I mean that with all sincerity. Don't try to be like other businesses. Obviously there's similarities in what we do, very common as far as the process and things like that. But take just an objective look at your website or your business card and what you do, what makes you you. And so stand behind that. So I've always done that, Brittany. I've always I say website because you look at my website, man, it looks very different than anybody else's, I think, because it's real busy. I mean, it's not a website that actually lead people to if they want specific information. Now, if they want general information about who I am, I'll send them to a link through Linktree or go to my website and they can look at everything that I do. But if it's a lead, I don't send them my website. I send them to a landing page. If it's a lead with coaching or placement, I send them to a landing page, not my website. My website is actually kind of my digital office of all what I do. Kind of like when you walk into, let's say, a store and they got different departments, right? Well, you don't want a website that's got all these different departments and you lead someone there and you go, okay, what would you like today? Well, dang, looks like you got a lot of stuff. Let me go browse around everything. Well, no, you want to lead them to a certain area of that store, and that's where a landing page will come in. So I think personal brand is big, but it's all in how we lead people to where we want them to go. And so I got down community presence, Brittany. This goes without saying. We say this a lot, but I mean, you got to stay visible really in hospitals and SNFs, even in events. I don't really go to events. People follow me for 5 minutes. No, I don't do that. I'm not discrediting, events. I'm not downplaying events. I think events can be fun. They can be cool. And if that's your thing and you're actually, getting some real results, right? And I mean, like you're getting real connections and real leads, real information that will benefit your business, then go to these events. My experience is not so much. So I tend to stay in my lane in terms of hospitals and SNFs, things like that. But digital strategy kind of goes without saying too. But I put YouTube and LinkedIn on there because that's my two biggest platforms. That's the only reason I put that on there. You can do Instagram, you can do Facebook, you can do all kinds of stuff, but you can do ads. I don't do too many ads. I've done some ads, but I spend a lot of time on YouTube. This is the coaching piece. Now, let me tell you a little bit of pro tip. I'm doing coaching, right? Brittany and I are here coaching about senior placement. This right here will actually give me leads. People, they'll find me because I'll do a short on this. They'll go to Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever and go to the long video of this and then inevitably find out, okay, he does senior placement. And if he's coaching about this thing, he must know what he's doing. And it leads to immediate credibility. So, do some stuff like that. Do some LinkedIn. And I do LinkedIn because I've got over 20,000 followers now on LinkedIn. Let me flex on that one.
That's awesome.
That's not real big, but that's big for me though. I'm like, man, I remember a day I had like 500. So it was like, so 20,000 is really cool. Okay, let's get into number 5. Last but not least, leadership and growth. Brittany, you know this real well in terms of team building, know when to bring on assistants. And I think you and I have talked about on air, off air, even today, that some people we know actually did this way too soon. It's kind of the old adage, build it and they come. Okay, I don't mind that. And I agree with that to a certain extent. And I appreciate the positivity. But what if you build and they don't come? Now you still got the the responsibility of taking care of whatever you built. So what you want to do is have yourself, if I can say it in clear, have yourself in every area of your business. Know every fundamental, every part of your business. And then as you get to the point where a certain piece of the business just doesn't make sense for you to do it. I don't want to put a dollar amount on it, but let's just say you come up with out of your head, I'm worth $100 an hour. And there's a task of your business that if you do that, you're not going to make $100 an hour. It's going to be more like $2 an hour. Then at that place, that juncture, have somebody do that task for you, and you'll make more money doing that. But what happens is, Brittany, I'll bounce it over to you, is that people want to hire prematurely. They want to bring more people on. They want to go get an office. They want to go get all these things. And they feel like because they build it, people are going to come, but they get frustrated when they don't come. And then what do you do in the meantime? So then they struggle with this. I know what they struggle with too, is they struggle with expansion. I want to expand. I want to dominate. I want to grow. And I can only grow if I have more people. It might mean, can I have a heart to heart with you? It might mean that you're flat out lazy and you just don't want to do the work. Some of you that are thinking you're too busy, if I did an audit of your time, I bet you're probably working 3 or 4 hours a day. And you're calling it a day and calling it a wrap and saying you work too hard. You need to get up to 10, 12 hours. And then at that point, maybe then consider bringing on somebody else. Brittany, I know I say that to you because I know you personally, that what you've done to be successful, you worked your butt off to get to a place even before you brought people on.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of us we all would love to just be able to hire people to some degree and be able to sit back and make money, but it's not realistic. I also think one other note to add is if you're working in your business and learning everything about it, it creates so much more success when you do bring people on. You're able to train them correctly. You're able to lead with example. You're able to be there by their side. I have 2 people on my team, and I'm still so much in with every single move as I was when I wasn't.
Wait a minute, so you have 2 people in your business and you take the day off, right? You don't do anything. Okay.
So it's really good to not only be able to learn the business, and that way when you do bring on people, again, you can lead with example, you can lead with intention, you can understand what they're going through. Bringing on human bodies, I bite me in the butt, or someone correct me if I'm wrong, in my opinion, does not grow this business. So to what people would expect it to. I'm not saying that it would not grow your business at all and that people are not assets, but until you really have a business that is up and running and that you've been through all those phases, I don't think it's a successful way to scale. I also think the beauty of this business is not having to have a huge team to make a lot of money and help a lot of people. Absolutely. So you can help a lot of seniors without adding on a lot of overhead to your business.
Yeah. And whatever you do, you guys, measure what you do. Like, I think about people going to events or getting the designations behind their name and doing this certain thing, all that. And sometimes people get caught up in the event itself, not just so much just events, but just wherever they're going and what they're doing. And when we do a deep dive into what they actually are accomplishing, it's not a whole lot, right? They're doing 1-2 move-ins a month or something like that. And I'm not bagging that, but I mean, that's kind of my rear view mirror. So it's you can get past that. But if you don't have systems in place and you don't have this leadership and growth and building your team and things like that. And so, we're talking about scaling vision, think beyond yourself, be an enterprise, not just a job. So we talked a little bit about that. But Brittany, that is, if people want to build a business, that's the 5 keys to building a business. And if you truly want to build it, you got to understand processes. And if you want to understand processes, you need to get into the Senior Placement Institute. You need to click the link down below, schedule a consultation call with myself, and you'll have Brittany every week. You'll have our information. It's 42 modules. It blows away anything that's out there. There's nothing close. I just saw something online last week, Brittany, where they had this realtor. Nobody I said, don't think about the person I'm thinking about, but it's this female realtor. And this person that is part of a large franchise, and there's a CRM guy, and they're going back and forth, and they're selling it, and it's selling a certification, and it's 7 modules. They actually said that. I'm thinking, what in the heck can you teach in 7 modules? I mean, we've got 42 with bonus videos. We got a franchise actually wants to incorporate it within their whole company. It's way different. So if you want something cheap, go get that certification. If you want something cheap, go get somebody else with 10 modules. But do your homework. Do a comparison to what we have to what others. And this is not to brag about what we have, but it's big. And if you throw the Senior Referral Academy on top of that, Brittany, you're looking at 21 and 42 is what, 63 modules in all the different coaching we do. So you would do yourself a favor if you want to get in this industry. Click the link down below, schedule a consultation call with us. But hey, till next time, God bless.